Welcome to Schooling Around. Today we look at our Oxford Career Education Program. More college credits available, and it's time to get out the leaf bags and rakes again for Oxford Gives Back. Stay tuned.
On Friday, it's Fish Day at the American Legion in Oxford. It runs from noon to 8, and we will have over 300 of our best friends enjoying our fish and our carryout. Sure, we have checked it out, and we have found that we have the best cod and walleye in Michigan. Want dessert? It's all homemade by our auxiliary ladies for just $1. For your vets, we have hats, just $5. On the bar side, here's some of our friends. Hi, everybody! On the museum side, some more friends. Hi again! Where you can check out one of the best military museums in the state. All Friday at the American Legion from noon to 8 at 130 East Drainer Road in Oxford.
We're hearing it more and more these days. Companies looking for help, but no one's in line. Some qualified people are getting harder and harder to come by. Oxford Career Ed is pushing into some of these fields with maximum force. That's even leading to college credits. Today we talk to Oxford Community Career Ed Director Lisa Butts, who brings us up to date.
At our high school, we have 10 career and technical education programs that are housed here at what we call a comprehensive high school. The comprehensive high school means that the career and tech ed programs are here at the high school rather than at the tech center. What we probably remember from being in school was that a lot of those hands-on program or project-based programs were more at a tech center setting.
And you know, the last time I talked to one of the counselors about this a couple years ago, the problem with the tech center was that it was kind of cumbersome for kids to get to take some of these classes. Sure. So that's really a big deal if some stuff is being moved back here on campus.
Sure. You would have to go to our OTech centers for a good portion of your day. The curriculum that is being taught at the tech center and that's being taught here at the comprehensive high school is the same curriculum. We have to teach 12 segments that have been given to us by the state. Those 12 segments have to be covered in any time frame or length of program, if you will. You have the option to have that program be a year-long program, be a 2-year program. You can teach it in a block-based setting where the students are in the classroom for more than 1 hour, or you can teach it on a 1-hour basis. There are pros and cons to both, right? You have a student who might be more comfortable going to a tech center, spending more time delving into the curriculum over a 2-hour setting. So maybe here at the high school, doing that for 1 hour might be too much for them. So it depends on what's best for the student. Now, while some may believe that having the career and tech ed programs here at the high school are going to be in competition with what happens at our OTech centers, they're not really, because you're not necessarily going to be servicing the same student. A student who may want to get all of that information and learn all of that curriculum in a 1-hour time frame might not be that same student who needs a couple hours to understand it, right? So we do offer some of the same programs that OTech offers. So basically what happens is our counselors really help out with deciding what would be the best fit for our student. Would it be better for them to leave campus, and does that fit into their schedule, or would they be able to understand and grasp the curriculum here at the high school in a 1-hour setting? So there are still programs that are offered at OTech that aren't that we don't offer here at the high school. We are only so big. We have 10 current programs right now that are offered here at the high school, 10 state-approved CTE programs that cover all 12 segments that are assigned to us by the state. What I mean by state-approved programs those are the ones that are fund generating. We generate added cost funds and career-focused education funds from the state because we have been reviewed by the state to cover the 12 segments. We have a career advisory committee that you're talking about. There are requirements that are put forth by the state in order for you to become state approved. You can run the CTE programs without them being state approved, but you're not going to generate the funding as you would with
obviously an important
It is.
thing.
It is. It allows for us to stay up to date. It allows for the curriculum, the technology to stay up to date. All of our technology and curriculum needs to be updated. It cannot be any older than 5 years. So the students are often introduced to what's latest and greatest in the actual industry. So
Right.
that's helpful. Also, another requirement from a state-approved CTE program is our advisory committees. So the state requires that you meet with your advisory committee, which there are requirements from an advisory committee. An advisory committee needs to have industry professionals, parents, students, counselors, administrators, but they would like for the majority of the committee to be business industry partners.
Lisa explains how some of you may be able to help in a moment.
Just think, what if we didn't have local TV and radio? Where would I go for local sports, local politics, a mayor, city council, stuff that affects me every day? How about health? Who's covering things that endanger my family? I need to know now, as it happens, from sources I trust, people in my community. No agenda, no bias like you find on cable and social media, just facts. For news I can trust, I stay local. Support your local station. Text TV to 52886 today.
If you're training kids for a profession, it's nice to have some local connections in those fields. More from Lisa. And several weeks ago, you had a meeting
Yes.
here at the school where
Yes.
you invited local businesses to
Sure.
come and tell me a little more about that meeting.
Right, so we have 2 a year. We do one in the fall, and we have another one coming up here in the spring. So I put a notice out, and I will continue to do so in the spring, because we often need industry and business partners to help us grow the greatest programs we can for our students. What are we missing in our programs to prepare our students for that next step? Whether it is a post-secondary option, if it's going directly into the industry, how can we better prepare our students by enhancing the curriculum that we're currently teaching? What can we do? How can we better ourselves? And we often will rely upon those stakeholders to help us do just that. Let us know what you're using in your corporation. What type of technology and software pieces are you using? What soft skills are you noticing that the graduates are lacking? What could we better do to prepare them for a post-secondary option, either at the community college or the 4-year level? What can we do in our classrooms to better prepare them to further their education in any of our CTE areas?
So is it mainly advice and information that you're asking of the local businesses?
it
Or are
is.
you asking for some participation?
Both. So advice and information from our industry. The state has asked that we utilize our stakeholders to help us with decision making on what books to use, what technology to buy, what type of machinery should we have in our engineering and mechatronics program, what type of lifts should we have in our auto technology program. So we are asking those who are doing it every day, what do we need? Help us look for that equipment, purchase it, buy it. We have a huge advisory committee in our mechatronics engineering program. They come directly from some of the largest names in the industry. That's who we go through when we purchase our mills, our CNC machines, our 3D printers. We work with our advisory committee to order those pieces. We, as teachers, we come from the industry in CTE, but that doesn't mean that we're necessarily current at any given time. That's why we need to depend on those who are. And so we asked for that, but also the participation piece that you're talking about, we also need to have a work-based learning piece in each of our CTE areas. So our students, we want them to have that applicable piece where they go out into the industry, whether it's a job shadowing situation or a work-based learning work situation. All of our CTE programs need to embed a work-based learning participation piece into their curriculum. So even going as far as asking those stakeholders to come speak to our classrooms, to asking one of those advisory committee members to take on a student for a day and do a job shadow. Give us a number to someone who maybe has a more specific, let's use this example. So in the medical field, there are a variety of pathways. So we may have someone who is sitting on our advisory committee and they are a nurse, right? but we have a student who is interested in the vet pathway. So if we don't have someone in the vet pathway sitting on our advisory committee meeting, maybe someone that we know and that's a nurse, or someone that we have that's a doctor or an EMT could have a connection to that pathway that we could help our student be able to utilize, right? By going out into the workforce and having that job shadow situation with them.
I asked Lisa if there's any scholarship possibilities with all this. If the right match is made between a student and a business, is there even the potential for grant or scholarships for these kids to go on to college when they're done here at Oxford High?
So there are a few different ways that would benefit our students in the post-secondary area, or to go into the industry after. There are a lot of grants that are available for career and technical education programs. There are a lot of scholarships that are available by involving them in our leadership opportunities, like Business Professionals of America, DECA, HOSA, robotics. So there are individual scholarships that are available through those CTSOs, is what we call them, career and technical student organizations. So there are scholarships available that way. But there are also just those connection pieces that the students are making with those industry professionals, that maybe they could have a part-time job while they're working their way through school. We also are starting to work on those post-secondary options within our programs. So for example, in our mechatronics program right now, we are teaching a direct credit class where our students are sitting in the mechatronics classroom receiving high school credit and receiving college credit at the same time.
And that's something new.
And that's huge, because then a student is going to go to that college or transfer into that college already having obtained those credits, thereby costing their family less money, you know. So we're offering dual enrollment situations or direct credit situations, but we also have just expanded into our early college. Prior to the partnership between CTE and early college, we already have our Oxford Early College. We, prior to the partnership, offered a liberal arts general pathway. What we've decided and what the state has offered up is, why don't we provide our students with a more direct pathway? Have them going into something specific that they're interested in, instead of a maybe liberal arts or more general pathway. Of our 10 programs, we decided this year that we would move forward with 4 of them. So we now have a direct pathway for early college CTE through Macomb Community College for IT, marketing, auto, and finance. So those students will start their pathway have to be signed with early college by their junior year. But by the time that they're done with year 13 or year 5, they will have obtained 60 credits or an associate's degree in a specific pathway now, rather than just, not that a liberal arts is the wrong plan, right? But this is for our students who already know what they want to do. So they can do more of a direct study pathway rather than a gen ed pathway. And so then they would be graduating with specific, associates in finance, associates in auto technology, that kind of thing. Our students who are graduating from the high school with being a completer of our auto tech program are already highly marketable. Throw in that early college piece and they're walking out of high school with a job, which is awesome, And if not, if they want to further their education, well, now we're providing them with a way to pay for it. So now they have this job, this position that they can walk into, and they can pay their way to further their education, which is huge.
I'm sure their parents are very sad about that.
Right.
Next, Lisa walks us through these new early college courses. Don't go away.
They've stormed beaches and freed countries. They've raised our flag and our hope. They've been called leathernecks. They've been called devil dogs. But above all, they're called Marines.
Okay, 4 new career paths that earn college credit. Lisa explains.
So our finance, our early college CTE programs, we have the relationships are developed with Macomb Community College in those 4 areas. Our finance program is an accounting-based program. So you're going to take your entry-level accounting classes here at the high school, and then the classes that you would leave to go to Macomb Community College for are going to be your more advanced accounting courses. All of our early college CTE programs have the students sit here for our classes that are available here first. They also are all articulated with Macomb Community College, meaning that our students who have taken our CTE program courses here are not going to have to go to Macomb and take those entry-level courses. They're going to be able to waive those because they've already completed those here. So they're going to walk into more of a higher course. So in our auto class, our auto program, you're going to take Auto Tech 1 and 2 here. And if a student, depending on what their schedule allows, we also have Auto 3 and 4. So just depending upon what their schedule looks like, they may potentially leave after Auto 1 and 2 to do those classes at Macomb. In our finance program, we have Accounting 1 and 2. They would be completers here first, and then they would go out to Macomb and take the rest of their courses to receive that Associate's in Accounting. In our marketing program, we have marketing concepts, and we have research marketing and retail marketing. So they would complete those classes first, and then they would go out into the Macomb to do that. And then IT, we have a variety of pathways, and that's one of our programs that's kind of changing right now. We're looking for next year to have our IT program be an entry-level course where it allows them to explore a variety of pathways within IT, and then here at the high school we'll have 3 different pathways of which the students can follow: web design, graphic design, or digital creations and photography. So the students will have an opportunity to follow those whichever pathway they choose, but they would complete, at minimum, they would complete that entry-level course here. So those are our 4 early college programs. And then in addition to that, we have mechatronics and robotics engineering 1 and 2, and we also offer a senior capstone where they're competing with they make an electronic car, and they compete at that level. And then for our seniors in mechatronics, they would take that dual enrollment course with Lawrence Tech. So they would be sitting here and receiving high school and college credit. So that's mechatronics. Engineering follows our PLTW framework, so they have Introduction to Engineering Design, Computer Integrated Manufacturing, and Principles of Engineering. So 3 courses in our PLTW pathway. We have a medical pathway. Our medical pathway has a medical foundations course, and then also medical is one of our courses that embeds that work-based learning piece. So we have that medical experience for them their senior year where they're actually leaving a few days a week. They sit for class a couple days a week, and then they leave a couple days a week and actually go out into the industry, and they get to do that job shadow piece.
Yeah. I was going to say, even though those last few courses that you mentioned aren't gaining college credit for the kids.
It's all work in progress. We're working on all of them.
Yeah. I understand that. But even though it's not right now, the kids still have an opportunity to get out there and mingle with people in those fields.
Yeah.
And pick up some of the fine points of what's going on out there and discovering whether or not it's really for them.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. That's that ideal piece, right? Where they might go out to a dentist office, and let's just use our medical program. They may go out into a dentist office and think, I don't think this is what I want to do. It sounded great on paper, right? Like looking at how much a dentist could make, and but then they get there and they're like, I don't really want to look in people's mouths for the rest of my life. And then that helps, right? So if at anything, it helps them just understand what could potentially be expected of them in that industry.
If you own a business connected to any of these fields, you might want to listen up. Next.
Vision loss is not something that you feel until it happens.
Most people lose their vision from diseases like macular degeneration and glaucoma, not at birth.
With macular degeneration, you lose your central vision.
You have a blind spot right in the center of your face, so I can't actually see your face.
So even that little circle in which I could see became a big blur.
I was 65 when I first was diagnosed with glaucoma.
There were no symptoms. I had no headaches.
3 million Americans have glaucoma, and half don't even know it.
11 million people in the United States have macular degeneration.
You lose mobility.
Make a plan today to get your eyes checked.
Visit brightfocus.org to learn more.
In our conversation with Career Technical Ed Director Lisa Butts, a shout out to local businesses.
I realize everyone's busy. I realize that, we all are working probably so much more than what we're being paid. But our students need us, and our students need that industry perspective. We need those stakeholders in our programs. We need, and I think it's also important to understand that in our CTE programs, we're listening. We're listening to the stakeholders, we're listening to those community members, and we want those partnerships. We need help to educate our students the best way that we possibly can to prepare them for whatever it is that they're doing next. Going out into the industry, going to community college, going to a university. We want to prepare them the best way that we can, and as educators we need those industry professionals, and we need the advice. We're seeking their advice. We need it, we want it, we'll use it. Oftentimes I think that as community members we have so much that's asked of us, donate for this, can you come and supervise this, and oftentimes you don't get to feel the fruits of your labor. We will be listening, and we will be taking the advice that you've given us and putting it back into the classroom to help our students be prepared for the future.
But those other courses that are not part of the college program right now, do you feel you're on the verge of qualifying those for early college?
Yes, so the goal is we wanted to kind of we want to make sure that we're not jumping in without understanding what's expected. It does take time to articulate the courses because we need to do an entire curriculum review to make sure that the college understands what we're teaching here, and then we understand what the college is expecting of us once the student is there. So of our 10 programs, we're done with 4, and we would like to continue until we have all 10 in the early college. So we're going to move with a few programs at a time. We know that right now we're having, the want is there, I think, the highest want is there from our students. What we're hearing from our students is that our medical program needs to move in that direction. We did a survey last year. Over 60% of our graduating seniors had an interest in the medical field of some sorts. So we obviously know that there's a market there that we need to make sure that we're giving them what they need. So I think that our next step will certainly be in our medical program to provide that early college experience. We've been in the talks with various colleges, universities and community colleges to see what can we best provide our students with. We want them to have some type of certificate, some type of industry credential when they're done with that, so that they're marketable. What are we giving? We want to give them that one step ahead of everyone else. So to answer your question, that was probably longer than what you needed, but we are moving in the direction of all 10 programs becoming part of the early college program as well, yes.
Okay, I know you've got your hands full right now, but just out of curiosity,
Sure.
There are other fields out there that need people. Some of them may be a little less technical than what we've been talking
Sure.
about. Has there been any talk about expanding facilities around here in that direction to accommodate some of those?
Well, what we do is we try to survey the community and see where that need is. We survey our community from elementary parents, through high school, and we survey the community members as well. What are you seeing in terms of job openings? Where can we help? What can we provide our students with? But it would be silly of me not to mention that we obviously have a space. Where could we put a construction program, a welding program, that kind of thing. So we certainly are in the talks of how can we creatively offer those programs to students. What can we combine forces with? Like, could we potentially utilize our auto lab for a welding situation? So we're certainly trying to become creative with that. But if we have a student who is interested in one of those programs, that certainly would be an OTEC situation as well, where that program is available to them. We would never deny those students that program because it's not here, but at a tech center situation like OTEC, it is.
Yeah.
So we would certainly allow and want that students to go take advantage of what is available to them outside of what we can offer.
And when you say OTEC, where are these facilities located?
So there are 4 OTEC, which is Oakland Technical Education Center, and the ones that we feed into are Pontiac and Clarkston.
And speaking of early college credits, Mark Suckley is Oxford's early college coordinator. He's definitely on board. And this means This is not just merely words on a piece of paper. This means more funding for this program.
This means more funding to be able to put back into the programs for the students to be able to benefit actually all students, not just the early college kids, because it goes right back into the programs, whether it's IT or automotive and those programs. I just think it's great for kids to be able to kind of take their interest and run with it and be able to get either certifications or degrees at the higher level, and all paid for by us.
Some of the funding we're talking about helped to buy a new machine for Megatronics. Teacher Phil Kimmel is very proud of it and his program.
This is a vertical end mill. It's going to join our old one. Old one was kind of in need of a little bit of repair, but we're also going to now be able to kind of dual seats. We're going to be able to allow students a lot more time on the machines, because it was kind of a bottleneck before where we could only allow 1 or 2 students to be working on the machine at a time. So
you know what's really neat about this is you guys have qualified for some new state funding, and you've actually moved up a notch category as far as your program.
Well, our CTE director, Lisa Butts, she's been really going to bat for us. We actually purchased this with CTE added cost funding, and we received that added cost funding because we are a state approved program.
We'll be right back. Well, if it's spring, it's time for Oxford Gives Back. So dig those leaf bags, gloves, and rakes out of the garage and get ready. Katie Main, Madison Sparks, and Caitlin Gata want to get us on board.
Well, this is the spring cleanup that we've done for 3 years in a row now. And so right now we're in the processes of getting homeowners and volunteers, getting the information out, getting the word out to people, and just trying to get as many volunteers and help the people out who need it.
Now, just for the sake of comparison, well, for one thing, last year it was bigger and better than they ever hoped for, as I recall.
Yes, it was huge.
Do you remember how many guys participated in that last year? How many helpers? Roughly.
Roughly 800 volunteers.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
And how many homes did they work
We
on?
had a little over 100 homes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what are you shooting for this year?
This year, it's not as big right now, but
like 80 to 90, I think.
Yeah, that's looking like what it'll end with. Right now, we're at about 46 homes. So, but we have homeowners coming in and contacting me almost every day. So it goes up pretty fast.
And how many volunteers do you have so far, or have you started the process yet?
We've started the process just with our site leaders, and those are the people that are kind of like on charge on the site of the homeowners and stuff. And so we've sent out the link of our Sign Up Genius to them. And so we've had, I think we can say we have about 60 volunteers right now, give or take a few. So
you'd like a few more, right?
Lots more.
Okay,
the more
so
the merrier.
all right, now once again, what weekend is this we're talking about?
April 28th and 29th.
And if somebody wants to sign up to volunteer, what do they have to do?
There's a Sign Up Genius link that they can go to, and they can pick any home and pick any slot with a time that feels comfortable. Our biggest slot is from 10 to 1 on Saturday, but we have a couple earlier ones on Saturday, and I think only 2 or 3 later ones, and then a few on Sunday as well. So whatever's most convenient for them.
Okay, now what kind of skills are you looking for?
Anything. Anybody who wants to help, doesn't
fussy.
mind getting a little dirty, raking up leaves. We can't control the weather. I know last weekend or last year it was a little wet, so somebody who doesn't mind doing what it takes to help the people out in need.
A lot of businesses are helping with funding for some of the equipment needs, but if you would like to contribute, our high school office will be glad to see you. That's Schooling Around for this week. Thanks to Russell Currier at the controls, our editor Dan Zweiss, and you for watching. This is Oxford Community Television, keeping it local.